Hi, James here. Today I've had to do a little bit of a tutorial on box drawing and character design. I want to create a character so that in later tutorials I can show you how to lip sync, show you how to set up the eyes, show you how to set up the articulations. I'm going to try and do a fairly simple character. It's going to be sort of based on the M&M little men that you see in the ads. I've done a previous sort of example of where I want to go, and this is a sort of thing that we're looking to draw. I'm not going to try and trace over this. I'm because when I drew this practice one, I just drew it from scratch for boxes. So we're going to try and create this sort of circular looking guy with some shorts, and these arms in later tutorials will break down. You'll notice that as I draw it, I'll actually break down the character. As normal, we create a palette for the character. I'm going to call him Smiley because he smiles a lot. And I'm going to break down not all of the drawings, like I'll leave the arms as one and I'll leave the legs as one for now until a later tutorial when I can break down how to bend them properly. But for the most part, I'll be trying to break down reasonably as I go. So we'll start with a body, and this is basically just a circle. And I get a one that we sort of like the size of, and put it into the middle of the screen. I missed the select tool twice there. I try not to use shortcuts, which I often do normally, because then you can actually see what I'm clicking. So apologies if I misclick a couple of times. So we're going to give this a sort of a yellow colour. I like the multi-wheel mode here because you can edit it much simpler. Like with the single wheel, you can get any colour you want, but with the multi-wheel you have many more options. Although you can select these options here in the single wheel mode if you're more experienced. So I'm going to darken that yellow just a touch. And I'm going to duplicate this colour. And the first one I'm going to turn into a radial gradient, and I'm going to try to sort of create a brighter yellow in the middle and the outside. This is probably only going to be a fairly subtle effect. And actually we're going to change that to that colour too. So this is the yellow gradient, and this is just a plain yellow. I mean, you can change these colours to whatever you like, obviously, and it'll work just the same for this character. And then we need to adjust this gradient. Just hold down the shift key, and you can, if you grab the corners, you should be able to bring it in. And there we go. And that's our basic yellow. The next thing I'm going to do is create some eyes for this character. The eyes are going to be, a key feature of this character, and they'll be nice and large. So I'm going to just lock off the body now because I'm happy with that shape. And we'll zoom in into this eye so that we can have a better effort at manipulating it. Now I'm going to use these sides of the transform box to skew, so I can get sort of a nice skewed eye. I kind of like the look of that. Maybe we went a little bit fast, so I'll just skew it back a touch. And that's the basic eye shape. I'm going to put an eyelid on this. I'm holding shift to keep that line straight. I think it's a little bit low, so that one looks a bit better. And then you just grab contour editor, and there we go. We have a basic eye. Next I'm going to draw a pupil. Again I'm going to transform this and bend it across a tiny bit. Using just a plain circle tends to be a bit off-putting to our eye. They like shapes that are a little less perfect. You also don't want, you want it to be slightly cross-eyed. Perfectly in the middle tends to just have a strange look and doesn't look quite realistic. I know this is a cartoon, but it doesn't appeal to the eye. And so we're going to fill this in. And we're going to create a yellow up here. Except we're going to need to go to Tool Properties and close medium gaps so that it just fills the top. And we're going to create a white, which we're going to use for quite often in this character. And that will be for the eye back, and that's the basic eye. So I'm going to, this eye later on will break down into the separate layers and fix it up a little bit better than this. But we're going to, I'm just going to hit Control and drag it across. So I've got a second eye, and I'm going to go up to Drawing and Transform and Flip Horizontal. And we'll try to put these at the right level. So I'm just turned on the grid here so that we can get the eyes where we like them. I turn the grid on by clicking up here, and you can get that menu by, I'm pretty sure it's the workspace tools. No, it isn't. Oh, it's one of these options. You can, clicking these options will just give you all sorts of different things that can appear around. You can work out which one it is. I just set them up and left them like this. So let's have a look at this from a distance. I think those eyes might just be a little bit high, so, and we can adjust these later. I just want to leave some room above so that we can put eyebrows or a hat or something like that on the character. And usually you want to put your eyes fairly close to the center of your head. In a cartoon, like if you're drawing a person, your eyes will always be in the middle of your head. But with a cartoon, you can exaggerate this however you like, because there's no right or wrong. So the next thing I'm going to do is just simply create a mouth layer. You're going to notice I'm going to call this the front mouth. Like, so this is going to be the front view. So when I later on in the further tutorials draw the different views, I have a different mouth layer for each view. And all I'm going to do for now is simply draw a very, very simple smile on this character. And the reason for this is there'll be a further tutorial following this, which will go through how to draw different mouths and lip sync and things like that. So for now, I'll have a very simple mouth. And so now I've started this, I think I'm going to stop now and we'll go into part 2, where I'll start filling in some of the details, like adding in the shorts, the legs and arms, and obviously the shoes and hands. So I'll see you in part 2.